Powertrax presents the most powerful sport on earth, the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge.
Hello and welcome to the Lancaster National Speedway, where we're working on two big stories tonight. And Armstrong, one of those stories involves kind of a local hometown hero.
Yeah, the driver of the Buffalo Trimmer. When he was a young man, his granddad used to bring him and set him in these grandstands to watch his father race on this fine 8th-mile drag strip. That's one story, and you know he's a hometown boy, would love to take a win here. The second story that I'm really excited about is Gary Porter with the Carolina Crusher. He is the third national points leader at this time. The Gravedigger's been there, the Equalizer's been there, but Gary Porter has fought his way to the top, and he has a substantial national points lead.
Plus, we might want to mention the defending national champion USA 1 is here, as is Bigfoot. Now, what about the track?
The track itself, two-lane track. You have two jumps. They're going over a total of 16 cars. This is the kind of track that the drivers really like to run on.
Are you ready to rock and roll?
It's going to be a show tonight in New York. I'm excited about it, Richard.
And so am I. We're going to be right back with all the action on ESPN.
Powertrax and the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge is brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevy trucks.
The nation's only TV show devoted to the Monster Truck Championship Points Racing Series. We're at the Lancaster Speedway on the outskirts of Buffalo, New York, as we are kicking off the mini circuit of New York. Now, to help us kick the circuit off, this is Doug Rose and the Green Mamba Army, and this is one heck of a jet dragster.
Oh, Doug Rose has been around for many years, thrilled many people, and he's still got what it takes. An interesting gentleman. And Rose will be doing his thing, like you say, to start things off kind of with a bang, Richard Leek, as we start the New York Mini Tour.
And let's give you a rundown of how they are going to pair off in the first round. Your top qualifier with an unbelievable time of 7.95 in qualifying is USA 1. He'll get a bye run in the first round. Then it's Nick Rossi's Jersey Outlaw, driven by Mike Wine against the Mad Dog and one of the Breen boys. We'll have Carolina Crusher, your new national championship points leader, Gary Porter, against Wild Hare and the other Breen boy. Awesome Kong with Steve Kane will be taking on Clydesdale. That is driven by Bennett Clark. Super Dave Lysork, the Nightlife Chevy, up against the Ford, No Problem, and John Moore. Then it's Bigfoot with Andy Brass against the hometown boy, Buffalo Trimmer, and John Kwasniewski. And that's the way they're going to race in the first round. I guess all the guys are glad they're not going to be racing against the Green Mamba here.
Well, they definitely are. Like you say, what we've done, we've gone through driver introduction. Rose brings out his vehicle for an exhibition for the people right here on the 8th-mile track. Look at the run, very impressive.
Whoa.
Oh, a little bit of a problem. Looked like the parachute came off. He had to lock it up.
I call that a big problem.
Yeah, well, for him, yes it was.
There's
the parachute laying on the ground. Meanwhile, the drivers are suiting up and they're ready to go racing right now as Rose climbs out of the vehicle.
And you know, Doug Rose is quite a story. He's a double amputee, lost both legs in a jet drag racing incident many years ago, but he puts on quite a show for the fans here outside Buffalo, New York. And let's go racing, Army.
Now, speaking of show, your quick qualifier. During the rundown, you told the story. He had that quick qualifying time. That's going to give him a bye run in this round. Ron Litzow, the Everett Jasper USA 1 True Value Hardware Chevrolet, and Richard, it doesn't look like he's going to hurt any equipment on this run.
He takes it nice and easy. All he had to do to advance to the quarterfinals is make it to the finish line, and 28-year-old national champion Rod Litzow does that. Now let's go side-by-side racing. Out first, it is John Breen, the Mad Dog Chevrolet. John is 36 years old. He comes to us from Barnett, Missouri, and he is taking on the Jersey Outlaw, the Ford of Mike Wine, out of Pennsauken, New Jersey. Mike, this is his first year of monster truck racing, 27 years old.
Mike Wine has done an outstanding job to be a rookie driver, being the first year out. He goes up against one of the old tried-and-true veterans, being the Mad Dog Chevrolet. Chevrolet versus Ford. Look at here, we've got a good run going. Chevrolet working the inside of the track, pulls out first. Wine trying to come back. Whoa, what he
did it.
I'm going to say, yeah, Jersey Outlaw, but he did it in about the last 3 or 4 feet, Richard.
Mike Wine comes back in a big way and gets the advance to the quarterfinals, and we're going to advance on with more first-round action. Here's the other half of the Bad Breen Boys Racing Toys operation. It is the Bob Breen Wild Hare Chevrolet up against your new national points leader, Gary Porter, Carolina Crusher, also a Chevy.
Well, Porter has clawed his way to the top for this national championship. Like we said in the opening, he's the third truck to be the national points leader. He's looking good right now. Meanwhile, Bream sits over here with an appropriately named vehicle. He's no Harley-Davidson motorcycle rider. Wild hair going after the Carolina Crusher. The Crusher. But old Bob Bream, each week, Richard keeps getting better and better and coming along on this tour.
But it's the Carolina Crusher, Gary Porter. We call him the real American. He normally flies an American flag off the back of that Chevrolet. He'll advance into the quarterfinals. We're going to advance down to trackside.
Well, Gary, that's the first step in keeping that flag that you said you're going to hang on to, but there's a whole lot of air out there between the jumps.
It is. It sure is. You come off that first set of cars, you're getting a little air, and you have to be exactly straight lined up for the second set of cars because they're so close together. Then we're getting a lot of air on the second set of cars.
When you guys go for that second set of cars, is it just kind of like laying all the cards on the table? You know the finish line is right at the end of it. You just pull the trigger and see if you can get it.
That's more or less it, because, you know, if you don't do it, the other guy might, you know, and the race is won or lost right there.
Well, stay with us. When we return, it's racing between Awesome Kong and Clydesdale. Nightlife against No Problem, and Bigfoot takes on Buffalo Trimmer straight ahead on Powertrax. Tracks in the nation's only monster truck championship points racing series, the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge outside Buffalo, New York. We are in round number 1, and coming out next is Bennett Clark, the driver of Clydesdale. Bennett, 32 years old, out of Powder Springs, Georgia, and he is taking on the third driver of this truck in the last 12 months. It's Steve Kane and Awesome Kong out of Killeen, Texas.
Well, you know, they say, Richard, the cheapest thing that's changed on any type of motorsporting vehicle is the driver, and that's exactly what Jeff Dane's doing. He had the right combination last year with his brother driving. Then he switched over to this Steve Kane young man, and I'm impressed with this youngster. He's doing a good job with an awfully good truck. However, Bennett Clark was looking good and took a real bad hop after the first set of cars. That's going to advance Kane with the Awesome Kong Texas Chevrolet.
You know, it almost looks like Bennett Clark is nose heavy at times.
It really does, and it shouldn't be that way because of the long wheelbase. He built a long truck so it would not do that. I don't know what the problem is, Richard.
Well, fans, get ready because we've got another Ford Chevrolet war coming to the line next. It is Dave Wysork in the Chevrolet Nightlife out of Grand Island, Nebraska. 27 years old, been in a monster truck racing now 4 years, and he is taking on Jammin' John Moore, the no-problem Ford driver from Lafayette, Tennessee. John, a veteran at 43 years of age. And keep your eye on Wysork. He's the guy that drives with his head hanging out the window.
Yeah, one of the most unique driving styles in the sport. Yeah, it looks to me, Richard, like it'd be uncomfortable, but he says that it's the way it works for him. He's out. He looks like he's going to advance with no problem. Look at that. Wysork has more coverage from the word go. Chevrolet advances over the Ford.
Well, he doesn't advance with no problem. He advances with Nightlife. No problem got beat. I was just kidding around with you there, Army.
Okay, I got this all figured out.
All right. So Dave Wysork moves on into the quarterfinals. We're going to move down trackside. Army's got him right now.
Where did you develop that unique driving style? It's one of the big questions we get all the time. Why does he drive with his head out the window?
Well, it's easier for me to see where I'm going down the track. When your truck hits some ramps and goes up in the air, you can't tell where you're going, and it's easier for me to get good eyesight of where I'm going and where to steer to.
How about the truck tonight? Is it feeling okay for you? It's looking awfully good.
Yeah, the truck feels real good. The ramps are a little steep, and everybody's getting a lot of air. It's just trying to keep the truck down low so you can make some speed. But I guess you just got to do what you can. But goodbye.
Well, our next race ought to be a dandy. The mean-looking Andy Brass, the driver of the big, powerful Ford Bigfoot, is going to be taking on the hometown hero, talking about John Kwasniewski, the driver of the Chevrolet Buffalo Trimmer. And you know, the Trimmer driver, Kwasniewski, has a brand-new truck featuring a lighter frame and a much larger motor. We talked with John earlier today about performing in front of the hometown folks and about this great-looking new truck called the Buffalo Trimmer.
John, you're actually playing monster truck racer in an area that you grew up in as a young man, I understand.
Yes, I did. My father used to drag race here in the 1960s and 70s. I used to come with my grandfather. He'd bring me out here every Friday night. My father used to race here. He used to race in double B gas, top eliminator. I've been coming here for a long time, and I know basically everything about the track.
Okay, you used to sit on the other side of the grandstand. Now people are paying big bucks to see you run. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel a lot better now. I'm on this side. I used to be on the other side. I like it better on this side.
Let's talk about the monster truck itself. A lot of innovations on the truck. The frame on the truck, can you tell us about that? Can you tell us about the engine combination and why you decided to make a major change in those two areas?
Well, my truck last year, I did some racing last year, and the truck seemed a little bit too heavy. We used to run a steel frame out of a tractor. We switched to an aluminum frame, which is about 1,000 pounds lighter than the frame we used to use. We were running with a 572 cubic inch blown alcohol injected Chevrolet, and the powers there, we got about 1,500 horse. It makes a big difference now from what it used to be last year.
You know, Army, one of John Kwasniewski's hobbies is playing ice hockey. But right now it's monster truck racing as they are staged at the line waiting for the green light, and here we go.
Kwasniewski picks on one of the bad boys in the course. Bigfoot working the inside with Andy Brass. Kwasniewski's giving him a good run, Richard.
At the finish line, Andy Brass, by the sweat of his brow, gets the win over the Buffalo Trimmer. But don't be surprised to see Trimmer come back as possibly a fast loser. Let's go trackside with Army and John.
Well, John Kwasniewski out of the Buffalo area, an awfully wild run, but the word we're getting is you may still be in competition. They say you may be able to come back as quick loser.
That's what I just heard. They said I got the fastest losing time.
So that will bring you back?
That will bring me back.
Okay, you're going to be coming back, or you're going to be making any driver changes. The truck looked really out of shape in between the jumps. How are you going to change that?
And we're going to change a little bit on the starting line. We're going to change the way we're taking off, that's all.
And the quarterfinals are straight ahead. Here's how they're going to pair up. USA 1 will take on the Jersey Outlaw. Carolina Crusher against Buffalo Trimmer. Wild Hair faces Awesome Kong. And Bigfoot will take on Nightlife. We'll be right back with more professional monster truck racing on the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Monster Truck Racing, the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge from Lancaster Speedway outside Buffalo, New York, where next is the Jersey Outlaw against the USA 1. You know, we asked Rod Litzow earlier about how his truck has performed lately after a slow start in defense of his National Driving Championship.
Well, we've had some problems this year starting out in that, but basically we've ironed out quite a few. We're just every race we go to, we're trying something different. Hopefully we got everything ironed out now because we have to do some catching up in points. We are standing in the fourth right now, and we are going for #1 spot, so we hopefully have everything solved.
So here's Mike Wine in the Ford against Rod Litzow in the Chevrolet.
Litzow, like you said, he's trying to find a handle on this thing, but you can tell by talking with him, he's starting to believe in himself. The Chevrolet name brand looks good. Completely cleared the first set of cars. Look at Litzow. Litzow has definitely found a handle. Richard, he completely cleared the first set of cars.
I'll tell you what, if you don't think Rod Litzow is serious about winning another national championship, let's talk to him.
Rod, working your way through the field of a real tough situation here. The track looks awfully airish out there tonight. Everybody's going straight up.
Yeah, it is. The cars ain't getting hammered down like I thought they would, but later in the race they may start going down a little better. I'm trying to make us clear the last set of cars, but it's looking like it's going to get faster and faster, and I'm trying to put the trucks into 6 seconds now.
Well, good news for the Buffalo fans as John Kwasniewski gets to come back as a fast loser. But look who he is facing, the current national championship points leader, Gary Porter and Carolina Crusher.
You can bet one thing, Richard. Porter is not going to take this young man lightly. Just a moment ago when he was bumped out, I'm talking to Buffalo Trimmer, when he was bumped out by Bigfoot, he ran a real quick time. Carolina Crusher knows this kid can do it. He's working real hard to hold on to the lead. Porter going to hang on for a win out of the right. Oh! Boy, this kid was going after it. The ramps are really starting to look spooky out there, Richard Leek.
I'll tell you, the ramps are really pushing these trucks up into the air. And earlier today, we asked Clydesdale driver Bennett Clark about the construction of ramps and how they affect these monster trucks.
Each monster truck driver, the word ramp is probably one of the most important words in his vocabulary. Bennett Clark, tell me why ramps are so important.
Well, ramps are a major part of hitting the cars. Some of the ramps are a little bit steeper, some of them's a little bit longer. The longer the ramp on the entrance to the cars, it makes a big difference. When you've got a long section of cars, you want a long ramp to where you can jump, you land flatter out in the cars or jump completely over the cars. The steeper the ramp is, you're going to jump, you're going to go up real high in the air, come back down, and land on all 4 tires. You land real hard. You want forward momentum at all times while you're racing.
So basically what we're hearing is the steeper the ramp, the more air you're going to get. You're going to go further out with a longer ramp and further up with a steeper ramp.
Yeah, the longer the ramp, the further you can go. I mean, you can jump. You can make long jumps with a steep ramp, but you're not going to make any time at all.
Well, with real steep ramps, let's give the advantage to the kid, the Flying Texan, Awesome Kong, and Steve Kane. He's known for getting a lot of air as he takes on Wild Hair and Bob Brain, the Chevy out of Missouri.
Both of them rely on Chevrolet horsepower.
He's dead.
Chevrolet horsepower caught the Wild Hair. Meanwhile, this kid out of Texas really makes a run. Now, both of these trucks run a rear engine combination, and the word we get on the Wild Hair, he tore a torque converter out of the transmission, Richard.
So not good news for Bob Brain as he is unstrapping and having, it looks like, a few choice words with his brother John. John, of course, the driver of the Mad Dog. Well, Bigfoot is scheduled to race next, and we talked to Andy Brass, the driver of Bigfoot, who has not raced with us so far this year, about making up ground in the points race. Is it possible to come back and win it all?
Well, yeah, I was kind of talking to Scott and some of the guys today, and we'd have to take first at least 10 shows straight just to get, you know, up into the standings a little bit. It'd really be hard, you know, I mean, because everybody else would be doing shows along with us, and like I say, we're 10 shows behind right now.
Of course, Army, there's still a big debate about whether or not Bigfoot is going to continue to run on this circuit. Have you heard any more about that?
No, he hasn't been following the whole point circuit. He did come on the New York mini tour. But right now, nobody's going to give him anything. Andy Brass is taking it all. This kid has not lost a touch. Look at this, Richard.
Now, Dave White saw it gets blown away. The Ford blows away the Chevrolet. So Andy Brass will advance into the semifinals. And when we return, it'll be the semifinals, USA 1 against Crusher and Bigfoot against Awesome Kong.
Powertrax and the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge is brought to you by TNT Motorsports, the nation's leader in pulling and monster truck racing.
Continues in Buffalo, New York. It's the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge. I'm Richard Leek, along with Army Armstrong, where we are in the semifinals. And it's going to be first up, USA 1, the defending national champion with Rowdy Rod Litzow taking on the current national points leader, Gary Porter, and Carolina Crusher. And this is what people buy the tickets for, Army.
Yeah, this could be the race of the year. The reason being, Litzow's trying to find the handle. Porter's definitely in control of this thing. It all gets down to points. Now, somebody's going to really get a big jump in points after taking a win in this race. I don't know who it's going to be, but whoever he beats will not be around for the final. Litzow, look at that, super strong. Rod Litzow seems to be possessed tonight in New York. You can just see the confidence oozing out of this kid.
I'll tell you what, Rod Litzow ran the quickest qualifying time by some 3 seconds. Now he blows away Carolina Crusher and Gary Porter. He is making a strong bid as we start this New York circuit for a second national title. Here's Army.
Well, the way I'm feeling right now, it's hard to explain, but I just can feel this track. I'm feeling good. I know I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for True Value and Chevrolet. I'm going to put it all together tonight.
Rod Litzow reminds me of the old Rocky movie. He has got the eye of the tiger. Well, Steve Kane and Awesome Kong is going to be facing Bigfoot in our next semifinal matchup. You know, Steve Kane has been coming on strong lately after replacing Steve Dane as driver of Awesome Kong. We asked Steve about the truck's performance and the driver's performance since that change.
I'm comfortable in the truck, but I don't think the truck's where it should be as far as in the points. I personally feel that the truck should be right up there in #1.
Okay, how are you going to get it in that #1 spot?
I'm just going to have to go out there and do better running.
What seems to be the problem this year? You guys having breakage problem or anything? I don't see any driver error at all. Is it breakage problem?
Yeah, we had a problem there for a while with our transfer cases kept breaking and stuff like that, but I think we pretty well got that fixed.
Well, let's find out how well they fixed it as Awesome Kong takes on Bigfoot to find out who gets the right to face USA 1 for the championship tonight.
Another Chevrolet Ford battle. Bigfoot wants to get a hold of USA 1, but so does the Texas Awesome Kong. What's going to happen? Steve Kane comes out. Richard, what a race, side by side.
Whoa.
I cannot tell from my viewpoint. You're going to have to call this one, Richard Lee.
We've got track officials up here with radios. We're waiting for the official word now. As such a close race, a photo finish. They're reviewing the videotape, and we are getting to where, there you see it. The winner is going to be by a tire. Awesome Kong advances into the championship. He'll face Rod Litzow in USA 1. Let's go down and talk to the winner.
Well, Steve Kane, the winner's flag is going to go to a new truck tonight. It's either going to go to Minnesota or it's going to go to Texas. What do you have to say about it?
I feel it's going to go to Texas.
You did something nobody else could do tonight. You won out of the left lane. You not only won, you won by 2/100ths of a second over Bigfoot. It took an extra special driving effort on your behalf. You're doing a great job with that truck, and I know you're going to go back in that left lane because USA 1's not going to come out of the right. But I don't believe you're as worried about it now as you were a moment ago.
No, I was kind of worried there for a little bit when I had that lane, but now that I won, I feel good about that lane. I feel it's pretty equal, and I feel that I can win.
Well, that is going to put USA 1 versus Awesome Kong in the championship race. But while the drivers make last-minute adjustments to their trucks and their engines cool down, it is time for us to go to the question of the week about the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge from TNT Motorsports. And this question of the week about the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge comes to us from Jason Lamp of West Point, Louisiana. Jason wants to know if there's any real advantage for a monster truck to have the engine in the front, mid, or rear part of the truck. Well, Jason, we spent some time with 3 different drivers that had their engines located in different areas of the truck. The first of which was Rod Litzow, the defending national champion in USA 1. He runs his engine in the front of the truck.
We want the truck to look like a stock truck, and it's a winning truck. And we designed it so that it will fly through the air level. A lot of the other trucks, I don't know how they feel about driving them and that, but they tend to do wheel stands a lot.
But it helps it fly better. It keeps it more level going through the air, and where if you have the front engine, it tends to nosedive compared to ours. It seems to fly a lot better once you're going down the track.
Sometimes I've got a course that'll make it work so perfect that you think the rear engine is the way to go. Then again, it'll turn around and the truck will nosedive with the motor in the rear. So really, it's kind of, you can go either way, but it is best to kind of balance the truck out. If anything, make the tail end just a little bit heavier.
Well, Jason, as you can see, the mystery surrounding engine placement really hasn't been solved yet. And with the ever-changing courses on a week-by-week basis, these drivers are still searching for the right solution. And if you have a question of the week about the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge, send it to us at TNT Motorsports, 5515 Poplar Park Boulevard, Louisville, Kentucky, 40228. If we use your question on a future ESPN telecast, we'll send you free a TNT Motorsports hat. Well, it is time now to find out who will be the king of crunch car racing in Buffalo. It'll either be Awesome Kong, the former mudbogger, Steve Kane, or USA 1, the former motorcycle hill climber, Rod Litzow.
Richard, during the interview, both drivers said one word: flying. We're going to be looking for some air. And another thing, during the interviews, I noticed one thing between the drivers: confidence. Both of these fellas are pumped. Who's it going to be?
Good race.
Texas going after Minnesota. Let's get out of Texas looking good.
Whoa!
I don't know again. From
USA 1, Army. He took him by about half a nose of the hood. You see on the replay right there, Rod Litzow and USA 1 has started his long climb back, looking for his second consecutive national championship. It all starts here in Buffalo as we go trackside with your winner.
Rod, this kid out of Texas making a name for himself, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's a hard runner, but I was so pumped up tonight that I don't think there was anything that would have stopped me from taking him first place. And I really like this. I feel good out here. Everything's running great, and I'm going all out for it, because once you start running mini-series, it's constant racing, so you get more used to the truck, and that's just what I like. I'm out here, I'm getting used to the truck, I'm going to go faster and faster every track.
Okay, so once again, things get wild and woolly with the monster trucks. Tonight, USA 1 and Rod Litzow gets the win. Now think back to about this time last year. That's when Litzow made his big push that eventually led to the national...